Alcohol is everywhere. It is sold in supermarkets, served at restaurants, advertised on billboards, and woven into social events around the world. In many places, it is treated as a normal part of daily life. At the same time, other substances with similar, or even milder effects, are illegal, restricted, or heavily controlled. This contrast raises a question many people quietly wonder about. Why is alcohol legal while other drugs are not? The answer is not as simple as safety, science, or morality. In fact, alcohol's legal status has very little to do with how harmful it is compared to other substances. To understand why alcohol occupies this unique position, we need to look at history, culture, economics, and how laws are actually formed. The story begins long before modern drug laws existed. Alcohol has been produced and consumed for thousands of years. Nearly every civilization developed some form of fermented drink independently. Wine, beer, and spirits were not just recreational. They were often safer than drinking water, easier to store, and used in religious and social rituals. Because of this, alcohol became deeply embedded in daily life long before governments had the ability or desire to regulate it. By the time formal legal systems emerged, alcohol was already normalized. This matters because laws rarely remove something that is already widely accepted. Instead, they tend to regulate it gradually. Contrast this with many other drugs. Substances like opioids, stimulants, and hallucinogens were either isolated much later, synthesized artificially, or introduced into societies without the same long-standing cultural role. When problems emerged, lawmakers reacted quickly and often harshly. Timing played a major role. Alcohol was grandfathered into legality simply because it was already there. Another key factor is economic dependence. Alcohol generates enormous revenue. Governments collect taxes from its production, distribution, and sale. Entire industries exist around it, from agriculture to hospitality. Removing alcohol from legal markets would disrupt jobs, businesses, and tax systems on a massive scale. This was tested once before. During the early 20th century, some countries attempted to ban alcohol entirely. The result was not a decrease in consumption, but the rise of illegal markets, organized crime, unsafe products, and widespread disregard for the law. That experiment left a lasting impression. It showed lawmakers that banning something deeply ingrained does not eliminate it. It simply removes oversight and control. After that, regulation became the preferred approach. Instead of asking whether alcohol should exist, governments focused on how to manage its risks. Age limits, licensing, advertising restrictions, and penalties for misuse were introduced to control harm without banning the substance outright. Other drugs entered the legal conversation differently. Many were associated with specific social groups, foreign origins, or moral panics. Media coverage often emphasized danger without nuance. Political pressure encouraged quick bans rather than measured regulation. Once a substance is classified as illegal, it becomes very difficult to reverse that decision. Public perception hardens. Research becomes restricted. Fear replaces evidence. Alcohol avoided this path because it was already normalized before modern drug classification systems were created. There is also the issue of familiarity. People tend to fear what feels unfamiliar. Alcohol is predictable to most users. Its effects are widely understood, even if they are not always respected. Other substances, even when scientifically studied, feel unknown to the general public. That perception alone can influence policy. Legality is not determined by harm alone. If it were, laws would look very different. Some legal substances cause significant damage when misused. Some illegal substances have lower risk profiles under controlled conditions. But laws are shaped by history, politics, culture, and economics as much as by science. Alcohol benefits from all four. Another important factor is control. Alcohol production can be standardized, monitored, and taxed relatively easily. Its effects are dose-dependent and relatively consistent. This makes regulation possible. Many other substances were introduced in forms that were harder to control or were associated with medical misuse before regulation existed. That history influenced how lawmakers viewed them. Once alcohol regulation frameworks were established, they became self-reinforcing. Licensing systems created enforcement structures. Tax revenue funded oversight. Social norms adapted around the legal framework. Alcohol became part of the system. Changing that system would require more effort than maintaining it. This does not mean alcohol is harmless or uniquely acceptable. It means it fits within existing legal and cultural structures in a way other substances do not. Another overlooked element is international influence. Global agreements shaped drug laws across many countries. Alcohol was largely excluded from these agreements because its legal status was already assumed. Other substances were defined, classified, and restricted through international cooperation, creating consistent global norms. Once those norms were established, individual countries aligned their laws accordingly. Alcohol remained the exception. There's also the role of incremental change. Alcohol laws did not remain static. They evolved slowly. Restrictions tightened. Public health campaigns increased. Social attitudes shifted. This gradual adjustment allowed societies to manage harm without drastic disruption. Other substances were introduced into law abruptly, often during periods of social anxiety or political pressure. Abrupt decisions tend to produce rigid rules. Understanding this context changes the question. The issue is not why alcohol is legal while other drugs are not. The real question is why alcohol was already legal before modern drug laws existed. Once you see it that way, the legal landscape makes more sense. Alcohol's status is not a moral judgment. It is a historical outcome. Laws reflect the past as much as they reflect present knowledge. This does not mean drug laws cannot change. It means they change slowly and unevenly, shaped by forces beyond science alone. Alcohol survived prohibition, integrated into regulation, and became economically essential. Other substances did not follow that path. That is why alcohol stands where it does today. Not because it is uniquely safe, but because it became normal before rules were written. And that is why alcohol is legal while other drugs are not.